Hi guys, it's Mr. Fed. Welcome back to my channel. I'm in the man cave. This video is going to have a quick look at my Super Nintendo collection and ask the question to you guys really, is it time to sell my Super Nintendo and my Super Nintendo games? If you remember in a previous video I posted, I got rid of my old SCART lead TV, and that is what I primarily played my Super Nintendo on. I mean, it was big, it was old, it was clunky, it didn't really fit the house anymore, and I only played my Super Nintendo on it. I did buy an HD cable, which claimed you could plug in your Super Nintendo into your HD TV and continue to play your sort of old school games. Unfortunately, that cable didn't work on my TV for whatever reason. It could have been because the TV is too big. It could have been because the TV was a UHD rather than just an HD. I just don't know. So it didn't work. So I'm left with a bit of dilemma at the moment as to how I'm going to sort of continue to play this. And what am I going to play it on? Now, do I sell it? Because I'm sure some of my games are worth some bit of money, and I'm pretty sure the other option might be to put it in the loft and it might increase in value. I don't know. I mean, technology normally does decrease in value, but I know some of the games I have, I've looked on eBay and they're upwards to sort of 50, 60 pounds. So without further ado, let's have a quick flick through the collection. So with all that being said, let's have a look at some games. The first game I've pulled up is Super Bomberman 3. Now, Super Bomberman 1, when that first came out for the Super Nintendo, I thought that was absolutely brilliant. Super Bomberman 2 didn't really improve upon that. Super Bomberman 3, however, improves on the game in every conceivable way, and it's by far my favourite entry into the franchise. Now, I know in Japan they released a Super Bomberman 4 and a Super Bomberman 5, but unfortunately, we didn't get those games in Europe. So for the best game, Bomberman game, really in Europe on any Nintendo console, it's definitely Super Bomberman 3. Next game I've got is one called Equinox. Now this one I've got still the box and the instruction booklet, but it's absolutely broken to pieces, so I've had to stick it in this little plastic bag. Equinox, great graphics, great 3D game. I did get up to the very last level in this game, but I was never able to finish that final level. I got stuck. The difficulty is quite insane. When I was younger, I remember I couldn't even get off the first level. It was only when I picked this up and started playing it maybe 3 or 4 years ago that I actually started to make some progress. It's really a game for the adults, I would suggest. Next game I've picked up, Super Mario Kart. Don't need to say a lot about that one. It's absolute classic. The time trial mode is still the best time trial mode on any Mario Kart game. WWE Raw is War. I am a massive wrestling fan. Now, I actually don't think this game is as good as the WWE Royal Rumble, which is the game that came out before it. But, for a wrestling game, I mean, wrestling games are massively advanced now, aren't they? But this is still a good pickup if you're a big wrestling fan like I am. Massive old school wrestling fan. Flashback is the next one. I've completed that game. Absolutely brilliant. I think this is as good as the Amiga or the PC version, to be honest. I think it's a really, really, really good version of the game. So I've really enjoyed that, and I have finished it. Donkey Kong Country 2 is the next one I'm going to pick out. Now, I completed Donkey Kong Country 1. I've never been able to complete Donkey Kong Country 2. I've only been able to complete it on the Switch Online service because it has a means of being able to pause the game or save the game in the middle of the level. You can't save the game in the middle of the level on this, so it's really, really difficult to get through some of those levels. Some of the platforming is really, really quite challenging. Next one, International Superstar Soccer Deluxe. I have spent days and days and days of my life playing this with my old school friends. Now, this was back in the day when co-op gameplay, it was a thing. You know, you have a Super Nintendo and a multi-tap, you get 2 or 3 friends round and you would sit there and you'd play games for hours on one screen. It's kind of a lost art now because of the age of the internet. You know, playing couch co-op with someone isn't something that's really done anymore. Next one, instant classic, Castlevania IV. It's the best Castlevania game in the series. I absolutely love this game. I have completed it. It does come with box and instructions. I would suggest that this might be worth some money, but the box is in terrible condition. I don't know if that makes a difference. The other game I've showed you that I know is probably worth quite a bit of money is actually Super Bomberman 3. I think I've looked that up and I think that's going for around 50, 60, 70 quid. Do you know anything about that? Let me know in the comments. Next game I have, Mystic Quest. Now, this is a Final Fantasy game, although it's not a Final Fantasy game in the true sense. This is a really, really bog standard entry level JRPG. If you like going around and leveling up, collecting armor, I mean, this is it, and it's kind of very stripped down, bare bones. If you're not too sure what a JRPG is or what a JRPG involves, then this game will go some way in sort of breaking the ice, really. It's an icebreaker. It does come with the instruction book, and I think there's a map in there as well. Again, I think this one might be worth a little bit of money. Could be 40, 50 quid maybe, I'm not too sure. Put in the comments, let me know. Next one, doesn't need any introduction, NBA Jam, and that is the tournament edition. Again, another couch co-op game. If you have a multi-tap, you could spend absolutely days, weeks, years with your friends playing this. I know I did when I was back in high school. I think I started to play this, and I was a massive basketball fan at the time. I used to play a lot of basketball. Don't play any basketball anymore, much more into the NFL. Next one, Prince of Persia. This is absolutely balls hard. I haven't got anywhere near to completing it. I think when I come across the first kind of sword fight, I always die. They have released the Prince of Persia game for the Switch. Now, I'm very, very keen on picking that up, and I think that is going to be the quintessential Prince of Persia game. This one, very difficult to recommend because it's just full of difficulty. Moving on, going back to the fact that I was a basketball fan when I was growing up as a kid, I have Super Tecmo NBA Basketball. Now, the reason why this game is so good is because it features my favourite basketball player, Larry Bird, and it's about the only basketball game I've ever owned that has actually had him as a playable character. Now, I'm not too sure if Michael Jordan is on this game, because I know Michael Jordan didn't come under an NBA player's license. I think he was one of the first ever players to sort of have his own license and his own brand, so I'm not too sure if he's playable. But Larry Bird, he's on this game, and it's absolutely brilliant. It's the first basketball game I've ever played where there's actual some strategy. You could set pick and rolls and things like that. I know that's kind of old stuff now because they're all doing it in the modern games, but back then it was really, really something special. Next SNES game, Sensible Soccer. Again, this is a game which I used to play when I was a kid on the Amiga 500, and I used to think it was absolutely brilliant. Buying it on the Super Nintendo and playing it recently, it's dated, is what I'd say. It hasn't aged very well. When I played it, and I thought the game was better than what it was. It's not as good as I thought it was. Back when I was a kid, absolutely loved it. Playing it as an adult in his 40s, not quite so much. This game is probably the game I've played the most out of any Super Nintendo game I've ever owned, and that is NHL Hockey 97. Again, I think this might be worth a little bit of money as well. I thought I had the instruction book in there, but I don't. This is the main reason I'm gutted I got rid of my SCARTLY TV, because I was still halfway through a season. on this game, and I was still playing it pretty regularly. It is a real stern challenge. You're not always guaranteed to beat the computer on hard mode, especially if you use the lineup changes, which I always did. I like the realistic simulation of the lineup change. This is an absolutely fantastic hockey game. I have never played a better hockey game on any console subsequently than NHL 97. This is absolutely, if you have a Super Nintendo and you're a sports fan, you have to pick up this game. Next one, Super Probotector. Goes without saying, I don't need to say too much about that game. Everyone knows what Super Probotector is. It's a remake of Contra. It's absolutely brilliant. It is hard. I have never completed it. I think I've got up to the last level. And I think it's always some big helicopter shoots me down with some barrage of missiles. You know, I could never finished it. Next one, John Madden, 95. Now, I had several Madden games. I had 93, I had 94, and then I got Madden 95. Now, over the course of time, I've lost Madden 93 and I've lost Madden 94. This is actually the best of the bunch. It's a really simplistic but good NFL game. Now, NFL games, even though I'm a huge NFL fan, they can be a bit complicated. They can overcomplicate things and take out the fun of actually playing the game. This, you know, go back to basics, really simple, run past plays, brings back the fun in American football, in my opinion. Again, is that worth anything? I don't know. I haven't looked any of this up. If it's worth anything, hit me in the comments. I mean, out of the games I've shown you so far, is there anything that sticks out in your mind that might be worth money? Should I sell? Should I keep? Should I put it in the loft? You tell me. Next one, Super Metroid. Don't need to say anything about that. Love Metroid games, Metroidvania games. I think the Metroid Prime games are phenomenal. I actually bought Metroid Prime 4. I didn't buy it because it's not out yet, but I paid a deposit on Metroid Prime 4 about 6 years ago. I've still got the receipt for it, so when will that come out? I don't know. Next one, Super Street Fighter 2. I do not think that Super Street Fighter 2 is as good as Street Fighter 2 Turbo. I did have Street Fighter 2 Turbo. I had it in the tin edition with a little pin badge that you got with it. I think I gave that to my cousin when I picked up Super Street Fighter 2. Now, you get 4 extra characters in this game. I think you get DJ, Cammy, T-Hawk, and what's the other one? Fei Long. But they're rubbish. They're absolute rubbish characters. They don't add any value to the game at all. So Street Fighter 2 Turbo, I mean, I'd never give away games now like I did back then. But I should have kept that one, and I should have given that one to my cousin. Pilot Wings, fantastic game. Again, absolutely loved it. Me and my brother would play on Pilot Wings, and our favourite one was always the where you jump out of the plane and you've got to land on the target. Me and my brother sometimes would just play that game and we'd just see who get the closest to the target, get the highest score. This was absolutely phenomenal when it first came out, and it is a tricky game. It's not easy. So if you've never played it, I would recommend Pilot Wings. I prefer Pilot Wings over Pilot Wings 64 on the Nintendo 64. This is actually a better game, more enjoyable. Let's have a look at the next one. What we got? Oh, one of my favourites. Oh, Cannon Fodder. This is so good, this game. I get it. It's probably better on a PC. It's a game more suited for a mouse, but boy, I spent hours playing this. I never completed it. I always wanted my first two soldiers, I think they're called Jules and Dupe. I always wanted to make them last as long as I possibly could. Never finished this game, but I did get deep into it. This is a really good game, but it is hard. One that you appreciate more as you get older. So if you're an old school player, pick up Cannon Fodder. Earthworm Jim 2. Some people like it, some people don't. I think I'm one of the people that don't actually like this game. I think the controls are brilliant, and if it was a straightforward platform shooter, I think this would be great. But unfortunately, it does get a bit crazy with some of the things that you have to do, and some of the platforming gets really, really, really tricky. It's hard when it doesn't need to be hard with its cutesy graphics and kid kind of gameplay. I think they made it too hard, and I think some of the platforming and some of the levels are a bit silly and a bit unnecessary. But the actual shooting bits with the weapons and that, I thought I did like it. I'm a bit torn, but I never made it that far into the game. I mean, you let me know. Is it something that I should maybe check out again? Don't know. This game is absolutely brilliant, Dungeon Master. Some will say it's probably more suited to PC. I think this Super Nintendo port of Dungeon Master is absolutely brilliant. I think there's like 20 floors you have to go down. I think I've made it up to floor 12 or 13. I've never finished the game. I always run out of food or run out of water, and my party just end up starving to death or dying of thirst. If there was an option in this game to take out the food and the water element and just leave it as a dungeon crawler sort of fighting using armor, power-ups and things like that, I think I would have enjoyed it more. As the further I got into the game, I just lost the mental capacity for food management. I was not very good at it. But outside of that, I thoroughly enjoyed my time with this game. It is absolutely brilliant and a classic, and it should be a classic. Got a few more here. So this one, Alien 3. This, I think, is a game that's really underappreciated on the Super Nintendo. I think the film is underappreciated in general. I think Alien 3 is an absolutely brilliant film. I think this game is absolutely brilliant game. Now, I know a lot of people hate that LJN logo. People see that LJN logo and they think the game is going to be an instant stinker. Generally, that's correct. I agree with you, but Alien 3 is absolutely brilliant. I've got some great missions and I have completed this game and I thoroughly enjoyed playing it and completing it. And I think I've got one more. Let's have a look. Yeah, last one. It's the Secret of Mana. Secret of Mana. This is a great game, but the difficulty spikes are absolutely horrendous. I've never known anything like it. I've never completed the game. I can only get so far, and even though I've fought every single enemy and leveled up my armor and leveled up as much as I can, I get to a certain boss and I'm absolutely annihilated, and I just don't have the will to go back through the level to find more enemies to fight to try and level up some more. So this game, I actually have a map in here and I actually have the instruction book in here. So this one might actually be worth some money, although appreciated the box is not in the best condition. I don't know. So that is my Super Nintendo collection. I think I've got a pretty decent collection. That's not all the games I've had over the years. Back when I was younger, I used to lend my games out to friends and I never used to get them back. But that was a sign of the times. That was just something you did. You know, you finish with a game, you pass it on and let someone else play it. There wasn't really this thing of game collecting like there is now. I gave a lot of my games to my cousins as well. But I think, you know, it would be sad to see this go. I've got so many great memories playing a lot of these games. Some of them that go back 35 years. So let me know in the comments, guys, what do you think of this collection? Are there any of these games which you have memories of playing? Are any of these games valuable? And what would you do? Would you sell them, or would you put them in the loft, or would you try and find another SCART lead TV or a TV that you could replay these games on? Let me know in the comments. This video has gone on a little bit longer than I wanted to, but thanks for sticking with me, and I'll see you again in the next one. Cheers, bye.